We're gonna say a sword, so that we got master sword.
Oh, I kind of want to see that. Mainly because, one of the runners might try to use that sword before they get to Uncle.
Instead, it's a key to the Palace of Darkness, which is pretty good. Something we'll want to have. Pod, lots of places to use keys.
Yeah, 6 in total, though if you know what you're doing, you can get through with as little as 4. And, these runners, they know what they're doing. So that's 1/4 of the way to pod completion for them. Small key-wise, at least.
Yes, even without the requisite number of keys, you can still get by if you're a little crafty and can take some inconvenient routing.
A sword on Uncle.
Who would have guessed? Oh, and a bomb.
That's actually a really nice thing for Ack to find this early.
And DT should also find it, with it being the green guard.
Yeah, if he kills every green guard he sees and all the rats he sees and he doesn't get any, it's about a 1 in 65,000 chance that he wouldn't get a bomb. So I feel fairly confident he'll get one.
In fact, he got 4.
That works too.
Helps out a little bit. Now the escape is free in the back. Don't have to come back later with the gloves or anything.
Heck, 4 is so good you can just use those straight away in Hyrule Castle. Though, expect we might see Ack get some as well.
And there we go. There's the small key to this dungeon. So, Phyllian, what do you think is going to be our go mode item? Is it going to be a weapon, or I guess an item, or a key?
I would really, really like for the go mode item to be the hook shot. But I'm worried. I'm worried that go mode item is going to be the GT big key. When we play Key Sanity, I'm always scared of that forced double dip into Ganon's tower. So I think it might happen, but I want to be clear. I don't want it to happen.
It might happen.
Yeah, I mean, a number of things might happen. But how about you? What are you expecting / what do you want? I guess there's a lot of ways to answer this.
I mean, I want to see Master Sword go mode, because why not?
But because that's a bit of a slog for these guys, but I also know they can do it. So, if we can force a Master Sword Silverless Ganon fight, I wouldn't hate that. The runners would hate me for saying that.
3:15 in the race. The runners hate Phyllian on the watch.
Well, that's a new record.
But no, realistically, it's gonna be the swamp small key. That's gonna be our go mode.
Realistically, that does sound pretty probable. In that race we saw earlier today here on ALTTP Randomizer, I think it was one of the very last items the runners needed just to get further into swamp.
Oh, what a beating!
Well, actually, the Ice Palace big key showed up after that, but it was Key Sanity. They had beaten Ice Palace already.
That just sounds like lots of fun. Sounds like Key Sanity.
That is what we're in for tonight. It's also worth pointing out we're on normal mode, which we don't see a ton of in the bracket stages. But I think after the race earlier this week, DT wanted to just kind of tone everything down a bit from the insanity that Ack picked in their first round pick.
Instead of one just extreme, just keep it kind of normal. I can respect that.
Yeah, for those who didn't see it, it was a fantastic race, but it involved expert swordless Randomizer, which I think even Ack afterwards said, yeah, that was a bit too much. And the run was just full of annoyances. as the runners barely had any hearts for most of the run. We did see the lamp get picked up, though.
That fake light cone you're seeing is now real by the magic of, I don't know, Carcat or something.
Yes, by the magic of Carcat. I am always a bit sad to see when lamp shows up this early and we don't get any dark room show-offs. I know Ack in particular likes his dark rooms. That's why he's got that emote that's just a black square.
Yes, no no lamps today. Hey, Turtle Rock Big Key and the Quake Medallion. That's probably going to be to enter. This escape is saying go to Turtle Rock already.
Yeah, only about 5 more items we need to get Turtle Rock access.
Oh, but when we do, that should be the first place they go.
It's certainly on my mind. So, I said I love standard key sanity. You get to get pointed at something by the seed before things really begin, and I feel like that didn't materialize at all here. We've got 2 very late game big keys and a couple of small keys, and that's about it.
That just means that one of those 2 dungeons is where we're gonna end up getting our first crystal. So it looks like both runners are gonna come up here and check some tree poles. Oh no, Ack is not. Ack's going straight to the forest. I was fooled.
I think Ack's in that that club of don't check the lumberjack area until you've got boots, because you're in there for the bonk rocks anyways. I do love that first tier tree pull.
Is that the first tier or is that tier 2?
A tier 2, sorry.
Did you see what was on the lumberjack ledge? On DT's?
Hate what DT just saw in lumberjack.
Because that just means that the cane of Samaria and the mushroom are required.
Very probably. For those who missed it, because it was only the very bottom of the item, that was the powder hiding in lumberjack, which gives you an item from the magic bat and is not very useful at all to know about. I'm kind of happy for Ack in this case because he doesn't have that weighing on his mind right now. DT's going to be worried about that for a while.
And speaking of Ack, we got to save and quit out of the forest and the South Shore before Kakariko Village.
Yeah, this is a thing he likes to do where if he doesn't have a bottle or he feels like he's a bit short on money, he'll go to some of the South Shore stuff and then he can do everything in Kakariko, kind of in one trip.
That's a nice game theory play. I like.
Yeah, he's by no means is he skipping Kakariko never to check there. He just likes to put it off a little bit if he can.
I also like to have a bottle when I go into Kakariko and money. Fair play.
Well, he's certainly got the money now, but DT's got the ice rod.
All signs point to Turtle Rock.
Also interesting is that he found the cape already, which does give access to that first chest in Aga Tower.
That is very true.
Axe doing Mini Moldorm Cave missed a couple of bomb throws, so he has to clean it out manually, but he's going to get 5 items just as DT does. Hold on to your butts for some items incoming.
And there's a castle tower key.
Okay. That's partway up the tower. Also seeing big keys for Hera and Thieves Town. And a little bit of money and some health. I think Ack got a full heart container in there.
I think DT also got a full heart container somewhere on the left hand. No, he didn't. He's still on 3. It was a piece of heart.
Oh no. DT just bought a Castle Tower small key from the bottle vendor. So that's full access to clear out Aga Tower right now, which is not something you see early in Key Sanity.
Yes, indeed. That's full tower access, and that just means we're looking for a moon pearl, and we could get to the dark.
That may end up being required, and now that powder really has me eyeing things suspiciously.
Powder and a couple of those pod small keys. Even.
Yeah, that's also becoming an attractive play now, is to get into Palace of Darkness as soon as Dark World opens up.
It's not the worst line of play at the moment.
No, DT sees a piece of heart in the race game. Does not think he needs that today. I would agree with him. And Ack learns that the green pendant is from Misery Mire here, which we already have a big key for, but is probably not required today.
And the big key is all you really need for Mire to find, because you can farm keys out of pots and inside the dungeon.
Yeah, we still probably want the Canis Amaria so that if you do go into Mire, you can clear the whole thing out in one dip. But who knows where that thing's going to be.
Yeah, who knows? It could be anywhere except Turtle Rock. And I guess Ganon's Tower. I guess it even could be in Ganon's Tower, depending on Turtle Rock today.
I mean, the great thing about Key Sanity is we have no idea what's a pendant, what's a crystal, what's a pyramid fairy crystal. We don't know any of that till the runners pick up maps.
Could you imagine if all these things are leading to Turtle Rock and then the Canis Amaria is in Ganon's?
I can, and I think it's kind of funny. And if the game baits us like that, we're going to be in for a long ride.
Yes, a very long ride. So now DT is going to have a second castle tower key.
Yeah, and you know, we're seeing most of this game exhausted already with what's available. And you know, some useful keys, some useful items for later, but nothing that really is important right now. How long until DT, or in a minute here, Ack just says, obviously Castle Tower is required. I'm going to bite the bullet and do it.
I think we might see DT do it before Ack knowing about the powder.
That's somewhat likely, I think. I don't think either runner is likely to do Castle Tower until they've pulled the Moon Pearl from somewhere. Just because you're taking an awful huge risk that Moon Pearl's sitting on the pyramid there otherwise. But
and we all know about how bad it can be if the Moon Pearl's not at the pyramid and you do it.
Yeah, that can really ruin your day. But you know, Eastern Palace is still open. Agina's Cave over in the desert is still open. Options are not all exhausted, but DT does not care about any of them.
I mean, there are 2 items in this castle tower also.
This is very true.
It's not just the Aga Tower of your normal random. We get 2 items up here also.
That's right. Either of those could be the Moon Pearl. Or, say, the boots that gives us the access to the powder. Or even a glove that lets us go up Death Mountain. All those things are potential requirements that might just be hiding here.
So we're going to see some bomb strats from DT. These ball and chain guards taking 8 hits or spins with the fighter sword. And Ack is going to come up into the castle tower as well.
This is going to be an interesting race. DT starting with a bit of a lead here, but doing this tower and fighter sword is slow going. It's not super hard going, but it's not fast, and either runner could potentially gain a fair time advantage from this.
And at this point, you're going to expect both runners to finish the dungeon because they're already here.
I'd say so, yeah.
They're going to bail after not getting anything in the second chest.
I think it's a huge time investment just to get to that second chest. And if you don't continue on after that, you're just forcing yourself to replay this later. I want to point out what Ack did in that second room of Castle Tower with those 2 ball and chain guards. He just used Quake to transform them.
That seems good. A little faster than bomb strats.
Yeah, DT's got to be really careful here. He's down to half a heart.
Using the cane.
Oh, and that is a useful hint.
That is a very useful hint.
Well, a Thieves Town small key requires the green pendant, which requires beating Misery Mire. And we know it's got to be the small key, because we have the big key already. What I think is really interesting about that is maybe that prompts the runners to dive Thieves Town very early. Because they know, okay, if I want to get that big chest item, I have to go out and beat Misery Mire first. I don't want to wait around for that to happen.
That's certainly a possibility. I'm always a fan of the early dip of Thieves Town anyway, especially for the first. Especially in Key Sanity.
Oh, yeah. Now, the other possibility is that because that key is going to be required to beat Thieves Town, we have the ability to do Mire very early in this seed. That could still happen. So it's interesting information that kind of gives us some potential changes right now, but doesn't tell us what will play out.
All this talk about Mire, and we're still at least 4 items for even getting to that.
Yeah, first we got to get through this cutscene boss of Ganon. I'm expecting 3 blue balls for the runners. Fortunately, Randomizer doesn't randomize the blue balls, but keeps it consistent between the runners, so this fight should take about the same time for each of them.
As long as all good reflex.
Yeah, DT managed to get some hearts, so he's not in the dangerous position he was before.
Now,
are we going to see a good item on the pyramid? I'm starting to think maybe Power Glove, maybe Book.
No, it's going to be Hook Shot. No, it's not going to be Hook Shot.
Hook Shot would be fascinating because it doesn't actually open anything.
All right, so Pod and Thieves Town are the other 2 pendants.
Huh. Need the green pendant to get the other pendants.
Oh, hey, that's useful. All roads lead to Turtle Rock.
With the fire rod there, it certainly seems to. I want to shout out the fact that we just had double Clippy sprites on screen for a second there. That's fantastic to see.
Also, shout outs to the best music in the game. No shout outs to the fact that they didn't get health refills from Ganon because they didn't have the Moon Pearl. Sad.
That is a little sad, but wow, I'm very impressed that they both did it at about the same time. I'm not impressed with the seed that it baited them so hard into doing that and did not give them immediate progression. So that moon pearl is still out there somewhere.
I was kind of hoping it would be the boots or the hammer and lead us closer to the moon pearl at the magic.
Yeah, me too.
But now we get to see the worst screen in the game post Aghanim in the overworld. They flood the eastern area with guards for no apparent reason, because you'd never go back there in the vanilla game. There's no reason to come back here. And so here's a red. Here's another red guard.
Yeah, it's so weird that the game changes like that. Some of the other overworld changes I understand, but you're right. Nothing's back here anymore.
The only thing that makes sense is they found out where Sahasrara was, and all the guards are here looking for him.
Then they didn't look very hard because he's in the one house in this
Right.
region.
Maybe they're waiting on a search warrant.
There's the moon pearl in Eastern.
Now that doesn't mean that Aghanim wasn't required. It just means that now when we find the glove and the hammer later in this dungeon, that it wasn't.
That's right. So I see someone asking in chat, what is a randomizer? I see a kappa, but I'm going to explain it anyways, just in case someone out there is new. It's where we take Link to the Past and we move everything around so that nothing is where it was originally. And then the runners compete to get through it, figure out the puzzle as fast as they can. And that includes figuring out where all the keys for the dungeons are, because they've been shuffled around too. Which is kind of mean, but DT picked that today, so we'll go with it.
And speaking of keys being shuffled, here's another Palace of Darkness. That's 3.
And that looks like 4.
Is it 4? Did I miss one? Hey, flippers 2.
Okay. Now I'm starting to expect a hook shot somewhere. That would give us access to the west part of the Dark World, including, Thieves Town.
Of course.
Skull Woods. Actually, with that fire rod, I completely seriously say Skull Woods. But we do need a hook shot to make those flippers get us to the other side. I suppose Zora area is accessible now too, which is kind of nasty when we're on this few rupees.
And they can't get the rupees in this dungeon, so there's 90 that are just out. I guess less out the window and more just in the dark.
Alright, well, let's see what Ack pulls from the big key chest in Eastern, a piece of heart.
So now, decisions. Dark World or Zora?
I don't like how both of these options cost money.
Here's channel your inner inverted.
I mean, the answer is probably pod, because you've got 4 pod keys already. That logically opens up most of the dungeon, especially if you're willing to hammer Yump to the Dark Maze.
Won't be able to get the right hand side without a bottle or a... But doesn't matter. There's still so much other value in the dungeon.
Well, we've got a split here. Ack is going to pod, but DT is back at the lake area. He's going to do Hobo and probably Zora then.
And we will find out what the correct path is. Was the Moon Pearl or the Flippers the right progression? Probably both, realistically speaking.
Well, Hobo just gives us a key for Ice Palace, which is nice to have. It makes routing Ice Palace nicer, for sure.
It does simplify the routing for a full clear of Ice Palace.
And technically, logically, it's required. It's not great to have, though.
I don't think either of these runners really care about the key logic of ice power.
No, I don't think they do.
Small key to Ganon's tower. That's
So there is something neat that's happened with our pendants and crystals.
and there it is. All roads lead to Turtle Rock in the waterfall.
Or Misery Mire. But no, there is something interesting about our pendant crystal layout right now, which is that we've seen all the pendants. So we don't know which crystal is our 5 and 6, but we do know which dungeons are required to get into GT today.
Yes, we do. Turtle Rock is one of those dungeons.
Certainly is. So Axe, making his way through some of Palace of Darkness, hasn't come up with much yet.
No, go back. Get the hint.
Ack doesn't need hints. Sorry,
Think
Ack
he'd
doesn't
be
like
good.
hints. And if that hint isn't any good, he doesn't need the hint. I am a little sad that he didn't pick that giant magic jar he dropped. Oh,
Well,
that's a beautiful thing to find. A pod key in pod. 5 pod keys. We're pretty much set for pod.
yeah, except for the items we need to actually finish. But, that's secondary at this point.
Yeah, more importantly, it does open like the harmless hell way up. And logically opens up the dark maze. So those are nice things for these runners to have. And Axe picking up all these rupees here. I think he still has his eye on Zora.
And now he can see his eyes on his way to Zora with that.
That's does that even open anything right now?
It opens a way back to the beginning of the dungeon.
It is definitely faster to get back to the start of the dungeon. He won't have to death warp. That book does open things, though.
That book opens up a little more than the mirror does. And it looks like we have everything we need to finish Desert also. Except for maybe the boots, which doesn't matter because unless it's something important on the ledge, then they have to go back.
We have everything
and
we
a
need to
glove.
finish Desert except the big key and a glove. So we can clear out the front half and get, 3 items plus 1 on the ledge? Which is nothing to sniff at.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I was reading the tracker wrong. And Ack with another small key to Turtle Rock.
So we're looking at a really linear seed at this point. All this stuff they've done, and really, Desert plus Agina's Cave is all that's open to these guys.
Yes, and Ack did not need that hint. You're 100% correct.
I missed it. Was it a joke hint or a junk hint? Or...
It was a good hint. It told you that Quake was in the sewers.
Oh, wow. That'd be useful. That'd be really, really useful if this wasn't standard mode.
Yes. I mean, it's still pretty useful. You could have not had the bomb to get to the back.
That's true. That's true. I really like this routing Ack has done here. He's back in the Dark World. He is mirroring in the river, and he can just walk over to the Hobo from here.
Always love to see hundo strats.
It's a fantastic little spot that very few people actually get to use. And if Ack, once he can go up to Zora right now, he's got more than enough money for the rest of the game.
Will we see him go up to Zora? Yes, probably. Oh,
I think so.
I was expecting him to go the other. Oh, I guess you can't go the other way. There's a big rock in the. Never mind.
And yeah, and I think he hasn't checked the Lake Hylia Island, so he's going to mirror to that here. Get the piece of heart, I think it is, and it'll be out of the way, or it'll be taken care of now. So that works pretty nicely for him.
Yeah, all very nicely in one little kind of a squiggly line, but a line nonetheless.
Yeah, DT's going to have a similar amount of money when he does the hammer jump here, but unlike Ack, the only thing for him to do here is Zora. So I can't see him in a huge rush to get there when he has Book. If this is something good on Zora, I'm thinking like a glove or the bow, DT is going to have a lot of work to do later on to catch up.
Yes, if it is something critical at the Zora, that's going to be bad news.
Oh heck, we're playing Key Sanity. There's a lot of potential critical things here, not just items, but big keys, even a couple small keys. That swamp small key.
That is very much critical. You want that red rupee. It's important for reasons that are beyond.
Reasons that are beyond all of us, perhaps.
Perhaps.
So, despite all the different paths these guys have taken, we are pretty much synced up here.
Yep, about a half screen apart, heading back to desert.
That's what happens in Key Sanity, folks. Sometimes you just get bottlenecked on one spot, and I think these guys have different ways they approach the racing and the seeds, and we'll probably see this again where they just get focused into the same area. They get two options for progression, they split, and then they meet up again later.
All it's going to take is one good item to open up multiple paths, and we'll see the branches start to branch out.
I mean, glove might help do that. Hookshot might help do that. At least there's the Ganon's Tower big key, so we're not worried about that. That's always nice to have.
Yes, you want that. That saves you looking around the rest of the dungeon for things you don't need.
And heck, we got a small key earlier, I think, over in pods. So once we get those 7 crystals, we are climbing that tower and ignoring everything else in the dungeon.
Yeah, just straight up. You can kill one little mini Helmasaur and get his key, and that's all. Nope, and not getting hit by that vulture. I hate those vultures. A nice play by both runners, going straight to the right-hand side. This nice shortcut over there. I've found some people don't even know exists. Hey, now we have a glove.
Now we can get to Death Mountain. Now we can beat Tower of Hera.
Now we can go into the back of the dungeon and be sad once we get there.
We can go all the way to the land mode door and then realize we don't have the big key. I really hope these guys don't do that. Ooh, Ack having some trouble with the switch. Down to 2 hearts. Just has to survive a little bit more in this dungeon. And then I think we're going to see both runners heading up the mountain.
The dueling save and quits.
I'm really glad Ack checked that hint, just so we could get these runners in even better sync with their cursors. But DT takes the lead of about 1 second by switching to the mirror to get out of this sanctuary faster.
That's a good tech there by DT. Love good mirror shenanigans. Now their routes diverge around the trees. And they're back. Just right on each other's heels. All race long.
I didn't realize going left was faster. But Axe seems to have timed it out, and it looks like he gained a second or two there, so nicely done on his end, but...
It depends on where you entered the screen from, but yes, the left side is usually fast.
Well, today I learned, and that's why we watch Randomizer, to learn. And to be impressed at the funneling that's going on here. Hey. Oh no, DT getting stuck behind some dead rocks. That's never fun.
There's one thing we can count on to break up sync. It's some dead rock.
Is it ever?
But we get a green potion in a bottle. The bottle part is a little more exciting than the green potion part.
Yeah, that is nice to have. And Axe skips Spectacle Rock. I actually quite like this little bit of routing. DT looks like he's going to dive in. Yeah, I like what Axe is doing here, where he's going to beat the dungeon, then come out and check the item inside the cave, and then he can save and quit from there, whereas DT's going to have to retrace some steps. That was our 6th pod key on top of Spec Rock, wasn't it?
It was indeed. And a very nice bomb jump there from DT.
And what was that hint, Tile? Was that the Ice Palace Big Key? Oh,
well, Ice Palace Big Keys was someone friendly on DT's side. And
that's
that the purple chest is going to be just some cash.
So maybe Smith's holding the Ice Palace Big Key then?
It's possible. Maybe the catfish.
Oh yeah. I never noticed this before, but when you read the tablet as a cursor, your sprite turns into a question mark.
Yes. Yes, it does. The cursor sprite is full of surprises. Now if we ever find a bow, both runners will be able to go back and beat Eastern Palace. Which is good, because Eastern Palace is important.
It's definitely a crystal at this point. Did we just get the Hera small key inside Tower of Hera?
We did.
Oh, jeez.
Crazy things happen in the standard key standard.
I guess that's probably the best place to find it if you don't already have it, because now it doesn't haunt the runners after they left the dungeon.
That's the beauty of key sanity, leaving those one-off locations to haunt you for the rest of the race. Right in the back of your mind, just slowly eating up your brain power. Really.
Clifford, this is a friendly rando race. We don't need horror stories. If we did need horror stories, we've got DT's timer to do that for us.
Talk about horrific. Oh, Ack with the cape, and down goes Moldorm.
I like that little shift to just make sure things don't go too wrong in the fight. And there's a Titan's Mitt.
Now that opens up things. That's progression.
That's real Dark World access.
Is Pod not real?
Pod's real, but it's not like the full Dark World. There's a lot of Dark World outside of Pod, Clifford.
think you're gatekeeping Dark World on pot.
No, I think the hammer, the mitts, and the hookshot were gatekeeping Dark World to prevent people from getting to the rest of it.
You might be correct. You know what this means? We're only one item away from full Turtle Rock access.
You know, you're right. Well, if we wanted to beat Turtle Rock, we'd need one small key more. Logically, two. But we are a hammer away from getting into Turtle Rock, and things are looking pretty strong about that, so... Both runners unsurprisingly doing Harrowed Basement, getting the map to Skull Woods, which will tell them, hey, Skull Woods is a crystal.
You should probably go there. You can beat it.
I mean, knowledge of the 5-6 crystals might still come in handy at some point, but...
Knowledge of the 5-6 crystals is free, though. At the end of your Dark World round, Overworld down.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You just walk into that bomb shop. Okay, it's 2 screen transitions. That's not free. It's 30 seconds. But it's close to free for that kind of information.
It's pretty good. So Ack finishes up, grabbing his item from Spectacle Rock Cave. DT's going to grab his map from the basement of Hera here, and both runners pretty well synced up here. Ack just seconds ahead. Again, Seed is full of bottlenecks.
Speaking of bottlenecks, do we think we're going to see the Sick Kid check before the Dark World here? Because I think so.
I hope so. Ack's not going to give it to us right away, which means we're probably going to see it after he finishes with Skull Woods.
You know, that would make sense.
Where's DT going here?
There's only one place DT could be going here.
Surely he can't be going there.
It appears that he is. He has the book.
This is... I actually really don't love this. Mainly because it's hard to get into the Dark World without the hammer from the pedestal.
And you can just mirror from the back part of Skullwoods and get there.
That's right. Notice how Ack is basically skipping all the Skullwoods on his first way through, only getting this middle chest because it's faster to mirror out from here. DT learns the pet is nothing, but he's going to have to make his way back a fair amount.
Ack finds a small key to this dungeon, one of the useless small keys that you don't really... But he's got it all the same.
It's kind of nice to have, just because logically you need those 2 small keys to beat Skullwoods, and so if he's going there at this point, it kind of is a hint to him, hey, something good might be on Mothula. You're not just wasting your time by doing this dungeon right now.
That's a fair play. DT isn't going to Skullwoods at all. We're seeing the village.
See, maybe not wanting to do that fighter sword moth fight.
That's reasonable. Meanwhile, Ack finding a second bottle, now with a green potion and a blue potion. Shouldn't have any worries about Fighter Sword and Mothula.
I think one of us is watching at the wrong speed. I'm pretty sure that's a red potion Ack got.
Right, but they have the green potion from earlier.
Yeah. Oh, so together it combines to a blue potion.
Got one of each.
Yeah. Either way, that should really take the edge off of this Mothula fight for Ack.
And with Fighter Sword, you know, this is one of the times that you don't mind going into the moth fight with full heart.
That's very true. Normally those sword beams cause more problems than they solve. So he's going to need 16 hits or 8 spins or 8 Fire Rod hits or some combination thereof. Which is fine if you didn't have to dodge the moth and the spikes and the energy shots.
And DG getting a very early, what is that, 5 or 6 digs to get some bomb.
Yeah, that's nice to have at least. Don't waste much time there. Ack with only a piece of heart, but mainly a very clean Mothula fight. And a second crystal for him.
It's very nice use of that green potion to get back some magic and fire rod strats all the rest of the way. Always nice. And now here we are going to see Ack check the pedestal also. Find out that it's just some couch cash to move right along.
Well, DT turns in the smith and finds out it was just a compass, so that's drastically reducing the spots where that Ice Palace big key can hide.
Yes, we are running out of places to go.
At this point, I'm thinking, what, Stumpy or Catfish?
Or inside Hive Cave.
Oh, that's right. All fairly easy to access locations. Which is nice. The runners might opt to just grab that big key before they head to Ice Palace.
Knowing the hint, I would hope to get it. I wouldn't want to go into Ice Palace without the big key, knowing that it's somewhere fairly easy to find.
That's right. Ooh, blue mail for Ack in the front part of Skull Woods. Again, makes that moth fight a lot less scary if you end up pulling that before you go in. TT is going out of the way to check Graveyard Ledge, though.
It's up here. It's one off. There was a hint about a unique item in plain sight.
And at this point, with over 700 rupees, DT will just turn up his nose at 300.
Oh, and a key. Key we can get to.
Yeah, thank goodness for that early cape.
Bet it's Turtle Rock.
I bet it's Swamp Palace.
But go mode. Nice work not
Yes.
getting attacked by Murder Dactyl.
Yeah, both runners remembering, hey, if I don't take care of this thing, they will hunt me.
There you go. You win.
I'm not even sorry, just because I hate hunting for that Swamp Small Key. So if the runners get it now, I'm happy for them.
That opens up one more location.
Yeah, now hopefully the hammer isn't in that second chest of Swamp Palace, because that is just cruel when it shows up there.
It's the absolute worst thing in all of Rand. In my opinion.
It wouldn't be so bad if you could just walk straight into Swamp Palace from Link's house, but because the only way to get there without the hammer is through outcasts, it's a little rude.
A little.
A lot. Very.
That same play thing made me quit Rando for 6 weeks. It was the
Yeah, just a little rude.
just a little rude. And so now Ack coming back to the village. After
What do
getting
you
his-
do here? How much of Thieves Town do you bother with at this point?
Man, that's a good question. I think I just do the front 4.
Yeah?
If I go in at all. No, I definitely go in and get the front four because it's key sanity. There's no reason not to do the front four.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 more items. They're relatively quick to pick up.
You have the mirror. You don't even have to death warp out. Then I reevaluate after these 4 items as to whether I go further in. And then it's probably 50-50.
Yeah, blind and the attic chest are out of logic right now, just because we need the small key for them. And we know that's on Sahasrahla behind Misery Mire, but we
could abandon the attic, knowing blind isn't required, and get the chests if the hammer's here somewhere.
That would definitely require the hammer to be here. Silver arrows, which are nice to have. Definitely you don't want to steal that key and abandon the attic so you can get the big chest if you don't have the hammer, because
no, definitely not.
Then you're not getting the big chest. Then you've locked yourself out of the dungeon.
Just one of those thought experiments. But it looks like Ack is going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You're here. It's hard to get back here. Hard-ish to get back here in the future, especially without the flute. And I think Ack's about to go on a bit of a lengthy overworld journey down to South Shore and stuff. So if Hammer shows up, if, say, Hookshot for Swamp Palace shows up, any of those things show up in here, he's going to be happy that he has them.
Makes sense to me.
In exchange, you spend a little extra time at the back of this dungeon, but it's key sanity. There is still so much stuff for these guys to pick up. And usefully, Ack just found out the bug net is in Eastern.
That is useful.
I guess there's still 2 chests or 2 items for him to get. One on Armos, one in the big chest, but it'll probably push the priority of Eastern for him a bit lower.
And DT taking down Mothula, finishing off with a heart and a half. Nice.
Hey, as long as you finish the fight.
The attic, just a piece of heart on the other hand. I guess it's not a hand. It's a cursor on that side. It's only the hand on DT's side because he's picking up the... Cursor sprites are confusing sometimes. So DT comes back to the light world, heading south again, while Ack is going into the prison part of Thieves Town.
Yeah, I feel like Ack's been just a bit more efficient with his overall route in this area. We're going to see him take out Blind, and then he'll have to do Smiths and Digging Game, which DT has completed already, but he'll still be just a bit ahead from a slightly more efficient route.
However, depending on how much of Thieves Town DT does, and what is at Blind, that might not be ahead that much. Well, I mean, they might be back to neck and neck because there wasn't anything in the back so far.
Potentially. The thing is, I think if you asked me which one of these runners is going to skip the back half of Thieves Town, my answer would be Ack. That's the kind of thing he does. DT is much more of a, I'm here, I want to get this whole thing cleared out, I don't want to leave anything behind or miss it type of player. A very quick blind fight by Ack. Very nice for $20. I think DT's going to end up getting that money.
No, you don't need. You know the boss. I don't know.
Yeah, you know the item or the reward the boss gives you, the pendant, isn't required. But what about the other stuff? What about the other chests?
What if it's in the big chest, though?
Well, then you're going to have a really bad day.
If we're playing all these what ifs. But it looks like DT is going to the back. Isn't going to let the what ifs play out in his mind. He's going to commit. Just getting some more money. Did Ack go to the sick kid?
No?
Maybe he'll do it now with the blacks.
Did DT go to the sick kid?
I don't think so.
Ack's gonna do it right now.
Yep, here it comes. Ah. Well, there's all 4 bottles.
Well, thanks, sick kid. That wasn't terrible.
Wasn't great, though. So now, Ack, knowing that the purple chest isn't required, we'll be able to go jump down, do the digging game, and just continue on towards the south.
Yeah, normally you don't see people leave their Dark World portals all the way out here where Ack did because they need that purple chest or they want to pick it up. Ack knows he can just skip that.
And also no hammer pegs to knock down without a hammer, so there's that.
That's true as well. This works out really nicely for him.
It's the little things.
Little things are nice. I want one of the big things to happen at this point. I want that hammer.
I do too. I want that hammer. I want Turtle Rock.
I was going to say, you just want the hammer so they can get into T-Rock.
Yeah.
Never mind that it gives East Death Mountain access. Never mind that...
Right, the East Death Mountain access is required to get to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, even without that, you'd have Paradox Cave open with hammer, but you don't. You don't care about Paradox Cave, and I don't blame you.
No,
I think
you do
a lot of
Spiral
this is
Cave first, and then you do Paradox Cave, and then you open up Turtle Rock because it's gonna be Quake, and then you do the rest of all the other things.
I think you're right. So much of this seed has just been giving them
There it
stuff
is.
for Turtle Rock.
There's that key for Ice Palace at Stumpy.
We can do Ice Palace, except we don't have the hammer.
You know, the hammer could be there.
Oh no, please no. That's terrible. That's almost as bad as Swamp.
Almost.
DT had a bit of trouble with that blind fight. Looks like blind ran to the bottom on him, but he managed to sort it out. So he'll complete that. Get his useless money, useless pendant.
Ack is checking the Bombos tablet, finding out not gonna come back to the Bombos tablet. That's no thank you. But Hype Cave we'll go check out. Do we see Ice Palace before we see Turtle Rock finally?
No. I think we do probably see the hammer right here. I think we're seeing Desert Palace next after we just got that big key from Generous Guy.
Well, where's that bow gonna take us?
You know, there's an argument to go back to Eastern and Pod at this point. There's 2 items on the right side of Pod we did not touch earlier that the runners probably wanted.
All right, now we find out. Now we will know. Swamp Palace and Skull Woods. Those are our 5-6.
That's right. I think we already knew Skull Woods based on the fact that the runners had the 5-6 crystal in their inventory. And we didn't pick up on it, but our tracker did. Shoutouts to Iceman for being so attentive about these things.
Yeah, we couldn't do it. Couldn't do it without you. I mean, we could. It wouldn't be nearly as nice. So thank you. Oh, act mirroring instead of taking a rope out of the face.
Oh, this counts as divergence, I think.
I think so. Think so.
Hack's going to finish up Desert, which is very good to do now that he has the Desert big key. And DT's going to duck into Swamp and grab 2 chests here. What if it's the hammer?
What if it's the hammer?
Then it's very nasty.
Well, that's a good hint.
That's a fantastic hint. DT now doesn't have to do the entire left side of Swamp when he gets access to it.
Oh,
of course, he can't access it without the hammer.
1 down, 1 to go. And there's the hammer.
Oh,
The Desert big chest.
oh no. DT's not going to find the hammer here in Swamp. He does get a heart container, but hopefully he heads to Desert pretty quickly here.
I admire the play. Just didn't work out. So now Ack is heading into the back of Desert Palace. Gonna go see what's happening with the land mold. I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be something either silver tipped or very fiery is gonna be happening with land mold.
You know, brackets have messed with my mind. I was about to say, we can't use silvers outside the Ganon fight. This is hard mode, or this is expert mode. But we're in normal mode today. We can definitely use silvers in the Landmo fight.
I mean, it still might be faster just to use the fire rod with half magic. Alright, DT is heading to Desert, it appears. So that's good news for him.
Yeah, I think he might have just skipped the bomb hut there. Isn't going to have that knowledge about his other 5-6 crystal.
Yep, and the fire rod strats. Easy red rupee from Landmo.
Very nice 1 cycle by Ack. Gets that 3rd crystal.
So now we're just with that hammer. That's Turtle Rock.
I mean, Turtle Rock's open. You can walk in the front door. You've got the big key. You can get all the way to Laser Bridge. You don't have enough small keys to beat the dungeon. Do you go into Turtle Rock?
The way this seed's been going, of course. The last key's on Laser Bridge. Can the last?
I
key
hate
be
that
on
that
Laser
sounds
Bridge?
like a reasonable play.
Can the last? I guess it can.
Well, you'd need one more key for that to work out.
But if that one key's somewhere else, then it can still happen.
Absolutely, it can. I do like this play by Ack here, actually. Now that he's got the ice big key, he knows he can full clear ice. There's, what, 7 chests in here? 8 chests in here? And he'll get a crystal for doing this.
Crystal, it's right here. can combo it up with Eastern. Oh, wow. Well, talk about a hint.
Huh.
Now, Ack doesn't know that the powder is on Lumberjack. But it could be important. We don't have the big key to get there anyway.
Yeah, the hint for those who missed it was that the boots are in the big chest of Swamp Palace, which is good to know, but also it's not like that Swamp Palace big key blocks anything other than that
At
chest.
all.
I hate to say this, because I know both the runners love boots, and I know how painful it is to be in this situation. For all we know, that big key is hiding in Ganon's tower somewhere, which is frustrating when it happens. When you know just how close to the boots you are, you can't do anything about it. It does make going into Swamp a bit more palatable because you're not going to be as worried about the double dip if you don't have the big key.
But if you find the big key before the hook shot, do you go get those boots? Because I would.
Probably if you're Ack. Maybe not if you're DT, just because he's already grabbed those first two chests.
But if you get the hint in your DT and you know the powder is at Lumberjack.
Oh, yes. I mean, in that case, it depends on when we find the mushroom.
That's fair. The mushroom is going to be the big decider.
Welcome to Key Sanity, folks, where the theory crafting never ends.
It's all one big theory craft. It looks like we're going to see DT hopping into Ice Palace also.
Okay, this is good. This is good. I say that, but at some point DT needs to actually diverge from what Ack's doing. He's a couple minutes behind at this point.
Well, let's find out right here. Let's see what DT does right now.
He does a bit of a double take at that hint. Or he just mashed the read button too many times.
I half expected him to just leave and go get the boots right then. I'll be honest. But it is a crystal dungeon that you have to finish, so might as well while you're... No reason to come back if you don't...
Yeah, having the boots saves a few seconds when you do this dungeon. I don't think it saves enough seconds to justify leaving the dungeon and coming back.
And DT showing the power of the silver arrows.
Has a bit of trouble lining it up, but there we go.
We have the map of Ganon's tower. We now know what all those basement rooms that we're not going to go into look like. And the compass of Swamp Palace. That's equally as useless.
Now, chat brings up a good point, Clifford. DT's not going to leave the dungeon and go to Swamp Palace. He doesn't have the big key to get the boots from the big chest.
Oh,
that's
right.
That's
the big
problem.
That makes sense.
We also saw that great hint cache in Mimic Cave, which, if these runners do end up in Turtle Rock anytime soon, saves them, what, 15, 20 seconds?
Easily. Wait, no, more than that.
Probably more than that. It's DT having some trouble in the Stalfos Night room.
It's 2 world warps and 4 screen transitions and a whole room to kill a bunch of things. Closer to a minute.
That does sound better.
Some more divergence. Ack using the Canis Maria strat, whereas DT is bomb jumping. It's minor divergence, but divergence nonetheless. And now Cold Stare with half magic and the fire rod. Even with Fighter Sword, shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Yeah, the big challenge. Oh, Axe gonna use the hammer here. Gets a very nice spin to knock them together. Gets a few stacked hits, which really helps the fight go faster. And can't quite do it all on Fire Rod.
That sliver of magic just not quite enough.
He's getting some very good double spins with his Fighter Sword here. Not a terrible fight overall, and a hook shot as the reward.
Now, that just leads you further into Turtle Rock because now you can get through the right-hand side the way you want to and not the developer end.
This creates a really annoying scenario. You get the hook shot, you can beat Swamp Palace, and you'll know what that last chest is. The one you can't get. You know the big chest has the boots. But I kind of like that Ack is just not getting the crystal from Swamp Palace and going out of there because you don't want to dip back into Swamp just to get the boots.
What if the big key of Swamp is
In Swamp?
or at the pyramid?
Ugh. No, that's a good point. Beating Swamp Palace in this case does open up the Pyramid Ferry. And we have no idea what's in there.
Could even be a boat.
No. No, boats are only in Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass.
Oh, right. Wrong game. Hey! We have another small key to Turtle Rock where all the roads lead.
Yeah, that's 3 keys now, and we have been saying, I wonder if that 4th key is hiding in Turtle Rock somewhere. Somewhat importantly, there's a Master Sword in the top of Paradox Cave, which is the first sword upgrade we've seen since we got one at Uncle.
Always good to find the Master Sword. The game is now beatable. Well, at least Ganon. Everything else, not quite so much. Even Ganon, he'll just get to the end and call you a dingus. Alright, so now here's the real moment of truth.
That's right. All this Turtle Rock talk has been quite hypothetical, and it all kind of hinges on, is Quake required for Turtle Rock? We got this very early in the sewers at the start of the race. Can we still get in?
Of course.
Yes, we can.
There is no way it wasn't going to be quick.
Ooh, DT, yeah, having a bit of trouble in this Cold Stare fight. Getting hit a fair amount. He can take one more direct hit from the puffballs, and he'll be okay. And once he switches to Hammer, he's got this under control. Trapping that last one in the corner, there we go.
So now what do we see DT do?
You know what? I just realized. And this is weird because we have so few items. We're in go mode, and Ack knows that.
Yes. That is a thing. Well, 1 out of 22 or not.
No, we've got the big key for Ganon's Tower.
Right, you're right. We have the
We
big
want
key.
those
We don't have
boots.
to
The
worry
boots are-
about the door.
The boots are great for going faster, but it's not enough to get through. Ack does a very unfortunate mirror there downstairs in Turtle Rock. That's costly. Oh, chat saying he skipped the pokey key and needed to go back to get another small key.
Ah, well, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering about that.
So, Clifford, you remember how just as the race was starting, you were saying what you wanted Go mode to be for these runners was the Master Sword?
Yeah,
You know, it kind of was.
almost.
Ack didn't know he was in Go mode until he opened up, or until he entered the Dark World and saw Quake was required, but
That Turtle Rock key came before the Master Sword.
that's right. Now, DT's going to go through Swamp Palace and isn't going to have that safety and knowledge that it's Quake to get into Turtle Rock. He's probably fairly certain of it, but I expect we'll see him open a couple of chests. The good news for him is he's going to get to do this, then he can go over to Eastern, then he can do Turtle Rock last, and skip out on climbing Death Mountain a couple times, or one time.
Yeah, that does help. With the little bit extra of, well, I mean, he's not going to have to do the left side of swamp, knowing the hint from. So we'll likely only see 1 or 2 extra chests that you wouldn't check anyway without, Master Sword. Even if you had the Master Sword, I would check a couple of them in swamp looking for the temple.
Yeah, Ack has a bit of a lead right now. But if we do see DT pick up an extra sword, that lead goes away very quickly. Sword makes a fair difference climbing the tower and a huge difference in the Ganon fight itself.
Going from Master to Tempered Sword is the biggest upgrade in damage you can find outside of going from wooden to silver arrows. It's just crazy how much more damage you output.
Yeah, so perhaps looking for a sword, DT is going to check this looped chest at the bottom. Then he's going to pass by that big chest, and he'll know the boots are there, but he just can't pick them up.
Just gives it a little hug, like, I'll come back for you, maybe, probably.
Unless he finds the big key in these next 2 chests, he will not be back.
Oh, 3.
You're right, 3.
We get a full 3 to check.
Over on Ack's side, he has made his way through all of Turtle Rock. He got to Key Sanity Go mode it, which meant he skipped out on a lot of the deviations. And he's going to use Hammer for this fight, needing 5 hammer hits per head. Takes out that first head very quickly. And 1 head's exploding, so he can't switch back to his hammer. But he does have magic, so he's just very liberal with his fire rod. Getting a ton of shots off. Doesn't even hammer the right-hand head.
Who needs to when you have a fire rod? It's so good. Meanwhile, DT just found some bombs and some money. And just a piece of heart from Trinex. They got a good crystal you want to have in your inventory. You need all 7 of
Oh, and
we're seeing
DT
spin.
going? Yeah. Fighter sword spins. If your spin connects twice, it'll take out the puff in 1 go. We see DT trying to grab 2 puffs a lot of the time, but often your hookshot just hits that same puff you already grabbed. So I think he's going to step away from that and kind of play it a bit more conservative.
Now Ack is heading straight to Eastern Palace.
Yeah, I can see why he's doing this. If he ends up finding the Swamp Palace Big Key, he can grab the boots.
Makes sense. Get the boots for free. Possibly.
He'll get the bug net no matter what, but I don't see Ack stopping to pick up fairies for anything.
And one silver arrow destroys Argus for some more bombs.
That's a lot of bombs in Swamp.
So now, DT. Are we gonna see the red bomb? No, doesn't look like it. Just straight to Eastern.
I feel like he was thinking about it very briefly.
Instead of saving quit back to the house, and he is heading over to Eastern Palace also. The boots will remain forever in the big chest of swamp for DT. Sad and alone in the dark.
This is a very fast key sanity seed.
I told you it'll only take him about an hour and a half. I said that at the beginning.
Yeah, and I'll admit I didn't believe you. Key sanity taking an hour and a half is pretty rare.
You just we have true professionals here today that we're commentating for.
Partly it's that we have true professionals. Partly it's that the seed was so linear for such a long time that when they finally got Nits and Hammer, they had all the supporting items they need for the end of the game, like Cane, Ice Rod, Fire Rod. And that all just meant that the end of the game would go a lot faster.
Instead of, all roads leading to Turtle Rock, it's the dungeon everyone's going to go.
I mean, the roads eventually did lead to Turtle Rock. It'll just be DT's final dungeon.
Fair enough.
DT gets his bug net from the big chest, which Ack knows is going to be there thanks to a hint, but is not going back for. But of course, DT does not know he's in go mode. DT isn't even in go mode at this point. He needs one Turtle Rock key.
Oh yes, and a key and a sword. Now Ack's gonna get to go mode swamp in the best kind of way. Doesn't even have to open up the first chest and kill those things. Just walk right.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see him check the chest in the waterfall room. Maybe the two chests that are flooded.
Not to say probably see him. The first chest we'll probably see him check too, because that's a quick check for a sword. An attempt at a sword.
So we've mentioned this before. The thing about Ack as a runner is he not only is he okay with doing like Master Sword Ganon, he kind of likes doing Master Sword Ganon. So
This is a race,
right? I think there's a limit to how far Ack would go out of his way to look for another sword. He's skipping that chest. He's not interested in wasting that time.
I was talking about the first chest.
Oh, like the actual first chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did check.
Sorry, key sanity. I forgot that first chest means something different.
That's fine. I understand. So now Ack is gonna wait out the water. So much waiting in this dungeon. So slow.
Yeah, we have to wade out all the water, and then we walk into the next room, and there's water all over the floor that we have to wade through. And I do love that use of Quake there, just to say, no, I hate you, chest.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
You know, you don't want to do bombos at this point because it takes way too long to actually use, but the Quake animation is so fast.
And there's the sword. DT has reached go mode. With one turtle rock to go.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is very, very fast when you don't deviate from the main path, but I don't think it's fast enough. Ack is going to have a bit of a lead going into GT here, even with that extra mountain climb.
Yeah, it'll be a small lead, but a significant one in this point of the race.
And just as a reminder for people, since Ack won that race earlier this week, he is at 1-0 in this best of 3 series. DT needs to win tonight to force a game 3 and stay in this tournament. If Ack ends up taking this game, then he will move on to the round of 16, and this will be it for DT. So fairly high pressure situation for him, but also I think Ack is wanting to secure that advancement as well.
And you know the competition is fierce at this point, with 32 from the 96 from the 250 people or so that entered the qualifiers. So the competition's fierce no matter what you're seeing these days.
That's right. You
rando.
Although Ack's missing Argus a fair number of times with the silvers, in general, these runners are very, very good at what they're doing.
I mean, Argus is Argus. Sometimes phase 2 just goes sideways, and there's nothing you can.
Yeah, and quite seriously, often the mark of a good runner is saying, "Hang on, this fight isn't working. I'm getting angry with this bow. I need to switch the way I fight this. Sure, it's slower to use the Master Sword and Fire Rod, but it's faster than missing and continuing to miss."
Consistency.
So that is 7 crystals for Ack. He is going to be headed up to Ganon's Tower, and we are not going to play any games in chat because we picked up the Ganon's Tower big key very early. I think it was in Agina's Cave.
Was in Agina's Cave, so I think it was check number 34 for DT and like 37 for Ack.
You weren't actually counting, were you?
No. That's just a blind guess, but feel free to go back and check it and let me know if
I can assure you I will not be taking the time to do that. DT using the Fire Rod really effectively on Pokies too. Fire Rod, if you hit the shot, takes them out in one hit, which is so much better than mucking around with the Master Sword. And I like how Ack is going up to Turtle Rock through Super Bunny Cave. It's not really faster or slower, but on the off chance there's a sword in these chests, that would have been a huge break for him. On that note, we see DT refilling his magic while he's in the dark room. I wonder if he's going to check Laser Bridge for a sword. As we see more small keys coming out of Hookshot Cave, including that 4th Turtle Rock key.
Of course, that's where that 4th Turtle Rock key would be. And no, we are not going to see another sword from In the Name of DT.
Ooh, a bit slow in this room right before Trinex. DT lets the anti-fairy get between him and the exit. So we might see him do that. Yeah, we might see him do that same combination of rod and hammer strikes, but Ack is entering Ganon's tower, and he can go straight to the top if he wants.
And there are 3, 4 more chests that can be checked climbing up the tower that might have swords.
That's right. 2 in the Helmasaur rooms, 1 right before Moldorm 2, and 1 after you beat Moldorm 2. And even Ack is going to have to check that chest today. Without the Swamp Palace Big Key, we don't have the boots, which means Ack can't even hover that.
Boots are essential to hover. Oh, DT.
DT,
Whew. That was close.
He had me really scared with the number of rod shots he was missing. And there we go, switching back to hammer for phase 2. 3 more hits he's going to need, I think. He's got to really watch his health. A hit here will take him into a fairy revival, I guess.
He's got it. And gets the clutch heart refill from the piece of heart after the fight. Wait.
It's great. It fills up his hearts faster, so he can end the boss cutscene faster. Except that he also has to wait for his magic to fill up.
It was almost the perfect plan.
Very nearly. Meanwhile, Ack, quite literally blazing his way through the gauntlet, is just spamming that fire rod all over the place, taking down everything he can in a single hit.
Without the boots and having to maneuver through the room, doesn't matter waiting on burning enemy.
That's right, we do see him switch over to silver arrows, because magic's a bit tight if he uses the fire rod all through that fight. But that's a 1 cycle on Landmo 2. Very nice. And Ack is going to enter the final part of this tower.
Into the Wizrobe room. And through Wizrobe 1. Oh, taking a fall there.
It's fine. It's fine. We got that fairy in a bottle thanks to Sick Kid.
He liked your bottle so much, he just wanted to give you another.
I saw someone in chat refer to it as Sick Kid is the president of the bottle collecting club. If you can show him you have one, he'll give you another one as part of the membership.
Seems good.
So we'll catch up to Ack in a minute here, but DT's going to climb the gauntlet as well. Behind at this point, but probably still with a bit of options to make up time. Certainly doing much better on health.
Yes, definitely has both more health to work with and just more total health altogether.
Looks like that lower amount of health didn't hurt Ack at all. I don't think he took any more damage since we saw him there.
Well, then you said something.
It's okay. There was a heart for him to pick up.
And he is fine not checking any more chests after the 1.
All or nothing. Either that one chest was going to give him Tempered Sword, or he was not going to check more chests. Dang it.
Oh, and the Moldorm knocking him into the spike. Using the red potion now. That's a...
I really, really like that. You don't assume that you can beat the thing without taking a single heart. And so you just say, all right, it's faster to take the potion than to go through the whole Death and Fairy cinematic.
And a nice one cycle land mo 2 from In the Name of DT.
And accidentally aggro's Moldorm 2, brings out that cape again to make sure he doesn't get pushed off the edge at the end. Nice adapting on the fly to the changing circumstances of that fight. No sword for him after Moldorm 2.
DT also taking a fall in that same room. I want to hack into this part of this room. I hate this room so much without food.
I was going to say, it's a fine room. You just line yourself up and dash through, and if you don't have the boots, you cry.
Cry or hope you have the cape or something. A nice double to start the Geometry Wizard fight.
Oh, and gets a blue ball, but still recovers to get a third hit in. These are some terrible, terrible patterns we're seeing.
They really are, but axe through it. A no sword in the right-hand chest for DT, sadly.
And Ack is going to have a long fight coming up, needing, 12 Master Sword spins in each of the first 2 phases?
It wasn't a sword before Moldorm 2 for DT either.
Oh no, DT taking a fall as well in the Moldorm 2 fight.
Moldorm 2 truly the king of Iran.
Oh, and unfortunately, Ack misses the spin off the Trident, which would have given him a second hit there. He's got 2 so far, but this fight really can take a while if you don't get the good lineups. 12 is a lot of hits to get. Fortunately, we do have that cape to make phase 2 go slightly faster.
Yes, we do. And with the silver arrows, that helps.
That's right, you don't have to conserve much magic for phase 4 at all.
Look at DT just running through. Took a little bit of damage, but got a favorable D boost.
Oh, Ack back down to a heart and a half. Single hit here is going to send him into that fairy mode.
And there it is, the fairy revival coming.
Shoutouts to Sick Kid.
And Ack is through to phase 3.
That's the hardest part dealt with.
So now, it's a matter of hitting some silver arrow shots. Maybe a torch glitch.
Maybe a torch glitch, although when your magic's full and you have silver arrows, I'm not even
Oh,
sure
no.
you need it. Oh, no.
Oh, no. And Ack taking a fall. In phase 4, going for the free and getting hit by a fire bat. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
So, not only does this put DT back in the lead, Ack took a few bad hits in that fight and is running low on potions and health reserves. So he's going to have to be a bit more cautious, a bit more careful during this fight than perhaps DT is going to be. I think DT still has the green potion, and so he's just going to go all in with this cape strat.
I think he has the potion. I think you're right. So that would make sense.
Because Ack used his free green potion in
And
the Mothula fight to great effect in the Mothula fight. DT hugging the wall there, holding it so that he doesn't deplete any cape magic.
He's in phase 3.
I really hope he has that potion, otherwise we're going to see the lead switch back here.
I do too. There it is. That would have been so unfortunate.
Meanwhile, Axe in phase 2 of his refight.
Oh, and DT getting hit by a fire bat there. Cool. That
Guys,
was
please,
close.
you're scaring me. You're scaring me, both of you. And yes, we did find the arrows in Thieves Town, despite nothing else useful being in there. Good thing we found them, since we're still on that dang Master Sword.
Yeah, without
Does
the
DT
master
have a double
that
here?
would be- He does.
Yes, he does.
And that. will do
Very
it.
nice phase 4 on his part.
But they come from behind. Victory. Yep, victory. Not falling off at the. In the name of DT has finished.
With an official SRL time of 1 hour, 41 minutes and 20 seconds. Though it's kind of hard to read on his timer there. GG's and congratulations to him. He stays in this tournament with a win, bringing this series to 1-1.
What
We'll see.
a great game in a great series. And I cannot wait to see game 3 if it's anywhere near as exciting as this one. Holy heck.
You know, this is one of those ones. We saw them bottlenecked, we saw them switching off, we saw them with basically the same gear for most of the run, but the little things on both sides just added up. Ack's going to walk through and finish as well. What, not even a minute behind, or barely a minute behind? This was a close one.
According to SRL, Ack finishing in second place with a 1 hour, 42 minute, 22 second time, 1 minute and 2 seconds apart. Wow. That's all I can say about this one. It's just wow.
Yeah, I think that's an appropriate term. I was surprised basically at every turn by what happened, but we're joined here by the winner in the name of DT. Congratulations.
Yo, hey Leon, thanks.
How about that?
How about that? That was a pretty quick key sanity, considering it was bootless.
Bootless, fluteless, you know, the movement items. You don't need them to go fast.
Evidently not. GG's to Ack, though. I mean, finishing, I'm barely a minute behind. I mean, super, super exciting to see something that close.
Yeah, well, we were all on the edge of our seats here, particularly at the end, but through a large portion of this race as the choices got weirder and weirder and weirder. I want to ask you about a choice you made very early in this run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you barely had that second key for Castle Tower, and you were doing Aghanim. What made you rush it so heavily?
It is so unusual to get both Castle Tower keys that early in Key Sanity, and the last time that I did get both Castle Tower keys, it wound up being Aghanim required just to get Dark World access, and wound up being the case in this as well, although I didn't need to do it as early as I did. Having the Moon Pearl from Eastern would have made it a little bit more efficient, but I just figured I'll take my chances. It's probably where we'll need to go at some point, so I can do that, see what's on the pyramid, and And then worst case, I'd save and quit, start from the house, and walk north and just lose a little bit of time then. Because who knows, it could have been Moon Pearl or Boots or something on the pyramid that would have made it worthwhile on the first trip. Who knows?
And having the knowledge about the powder being on the lumberjack, that also probably influenced it a
Little bit, yeah, because, I mean, even still, I didn't have the hammer at that point, but if I had found the boots, going to get the powder, yeah, that's one of those items I hate to see in the tree, because it could easily lead to something else, and you don't know if you're going to have to make that trip.
Well, as luck would have it, of course, you never got to test that powder because you never got the boots. If you had to guess, where would you say that darn swamp big key is hiding?
I couldn't even guess. I skipped quite a bit in GT and Turtle Rock. For all I know, it could be in Misery Mire if the flute was accessible somewhere. There's really tons of options.
We have no idea.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I realized I was asking that, like, go ahead, make your guess, and I'll tell you what the answer was, but we have no clue.
Yeah,
It's
and
probably in, like, the GT Big Chest or something.
could have been. And with 90 locations left to check, I don't think I really want to go back and try and locate it. I guess 89 since we know what it unlocks.
What a collection rate. That's an impressive rate for any seed, let alone key sanity.
That's insane. That's an insane rate.
See, I'm not sure how much there is to say about the seed. It felt aggressively linear for a lot of it. You guys being funneled through a bunch of stuff and then suddenly being told, here's your hookshot, you're in go mode. Was that kind of your read on it as well?
Yes and no. I mean, it was definitely linear in the early stages. Going to pod to get the book, to go to desert, to what I think the mitts were there. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. But from there,
you had a glove the first time in, and then the hammer the second.
Yeah. So I think that was more of an interesting choice than where the seed was actually taking us. My decision to go back to desert when I did, because I was on the path at that point to Ice Palace, just based on finding the big key and the small key, and just, hey, go there. There's lots of places. Hammer could be there, but I figured at that point, no, let me stick with the desert play. Knowing that it was beatable, I saw earlier there was nothing on the torch, and yeah, that was just lucky, I guess, that the hammer was there. But going through the Dark World the first time, that's when it really opened up. Or the second time, I guess. West Dark World. Between Thieves Town and Skullwoods, and then the eventual consideration for... I'm losing my train of thought. For Ice Palace. But then finding the Desert Big Key, that's where that fork in the road came in.
Makes sense.
So with the win today, you of course moved to 1-1. You and Ack are going to have a game 3 coming up. Have you figured out your vetoes for that yet?
We were talking about it in IRC, and looks like Ack is going to veto normal, and I'm going to subsequently veto swordless.
Both of you vetoing maybe the aspect of the opponent's race that you disliked the least, or disliked the most.
Possibly. I mean, his reason for it is pretty clear in IRC. He just says he was too bored. Maybe a little column A, column B on my reasoning for it. There was a lot to consider, because I know that if he had his choice, he'd probably go for another swordless expert enemizer.
Yeah, well, that was a real doozy of a seed. For those that didn't see it, if you're looking for what was a lot of difficult gameplay, but some really high quality stuff pulled out, do feel free to check out that race they had. I think it was on Tuesday.
I don't even know when it was. I don't remember. It's been a long week.
It was certainly this week, so you can find it.
It definitely was. Any final thoughts for the night, DT? Looks like Ack's not going to be joining us.
Nothing really. I'm not gonna get too excited about this win. It's still do or die, so gonna have to basically forget about this, move on as if none of these first two races happen, and consider it a best of one. We'll see what happens. Good luck to Ack, of course. I knew coming into this it was gonna be a pretty tight series. Either one of us could easily take a game from the other. He's a very skilled player, so yeah. I mean, who knows? It's up in the air. Only other thought, finally on Clifford, thanks for commentating. Iceman, thanks for tracking. And Mr. Broadstone, thanks for restreaming this. It's much appreciated.
It was our pleasure. And, I had my eye on this match all week for the same reasons you said. You two are so closely matched as runners. It makes it a real treat to watch. If you watching this, if you're looking for more Link to the Past randomizer, we're out of races for the night. We've used up all the runners in the tournament that we can, but we'll be back on Speed Gaming 3 tomorrow morning at 10:30. That'll be Rywek versus Sonicam playing inverted mode. Inverted Uncle Assured hard mode, which is
so
always
good.
fun.
Make the beginning of the game so much harder because you force a sword to the light world. It's the best way to do inverted.
I love it. They'll have a match immediately following that on Speed Gaming 3 as well. I think that's their game 3 if it comes down. And then tomorrow afternoon, Azazas versus Jet at 1:30, doing game 2 of their series that started this afternoon. Kyong versus Superintendent Taylor, Macanex versus Willard J. Bradley, another game 2 after. All these races going on tomorrow. Dracaris and Brewers Fan JP at 5:30. Follow Speed Gaming, both Speed Gaming and 2 through 6, ALTTP Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 4. You'll see when all these matches are going live because this tournament goes on into next month. As DT said, thanks to Mr. Broadstone for putting this restream on and to Iceman for tracking this. And Clifford, thanks for joining me.
Oh, it was my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me as always.
Any final thoughts or words or things we have to remind people of?
Cause I don't know.
If you like the gameplay you saw from DT and Ack, give them a follow. And if you didn't, what's wrong with you? Those two are fun to watch. Until next time, I've been Philian. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.